Hello and welcome to what is actually our second episode of Straight Shooting Footy. And today we've got
the fixtures.
That's it.
The fixtures, and we're going to talk about how really uneven it is, and how sort of.
Well, it's unique, really, in footy.
Well, yeah, it is unique.
I'm not sure I know of any other sport that does it quite this way, and they don't. See, they've got this problem, right? They don't have quite enough resources and weeks in the season to go through each team twice, but at the same time, like once is a bit too short
due to TV rights and dealings and all that sort of stuff.
Of
they've had to make 22 matches over 23 rounds. One round, everyone gets a bye, and basically, so there's 18 teams in the competition. They play each other once, and they play another 5 teams twice.
And they try and make it fair. They try and distribute it.
They tried it. And it's based on the ladder or the final standings from the previous season. They basically group the top 6, the middle 6, and the bottom 6, and they try to make those teams play each other twice.
Yeah. So those 5 extra games they play against the corresponding group mates twice. And the funny thing about these fixtures though is that the whole home and away thing isn't quite the same as your average sport.
Well, not only that, the teams can easily go up and down the ladder between each season, so you can't actually predict how a team's going to perform.
And I mean, you can't attack them for trying, I guess.
Oh no, you can't. I mean, the intentions are good. But it's not.
It doesn't always work out the way they want it to. So in terms of the difficulty, it's important to note that in a season, there's some games that you just aren't expected to win. Really, like if you're playing against the top team away from home, then good luck to you. But then there's games against those teams that can make or break your season. Really, the teams that are really within your own little group of 6.
You're playing at the same sort of level, and that's where it can get very hairy.
Yeah, and especially if that team just happened to shoot up the ladder since last season and stuff like that. There's nothing you can really do about that. But one of the big issues is so many of these teams play so many of their games on neutral grounds. So you've got teams that are in Victoria. There's 10 of them. Yeah.
That's the big one. I mean, there's only 2 grounds in Victoria, and there's 10 teams.
Yeah. So go figure. And then of course you've got the whole the extra home grounds and stuff like that in Tasmania
and Northern Territory up in Queensland.
Exactly.
So you got games where the home team sort of sells a home game to them, the AFL pays them. And
it's still really a home game, but it's not
a home game, but it's on a neutral venue.
Yeah, so it's a home game only in the sense that they're used to playing on the ground. They don't really have as many of their fans as they do back in Melbourne.
It's to promote the game essentially in other states. That's what it's about.
What this does though is it causes issues between teams, because when they're playing games against teams on a similar standing, sometimes their home game turns out to be a neutral game, and then they've essentially lost that sort of home advantage in what is a key game, really. Yeah. And then, of course, when they play away against a team outside of Victoria, then they've got a significant disadvantage.
That's where the home advantage in that situation really kicks in.
Yeah, I mean, for example, you've got Melbourne, who've left the state maybe twice or 3 times, and one of them was to play in their home ground in the middle of Australia.
They won that game, right?
Yeah, and they won it finally. Struggling there, but they finally got across the line. North Melbourne's very similar as well. They've I think left the state maybe twice or 3 times, and 2 of those times were to play in Hobart on their second home ground. So go figure. And then you've got teams like West Coast, Adelaide, Brisbane. They've travelled at least 6 or 7 times. Of course, they're all from interstate. Yeah. But whenever they play at home, it's a genuine advantage. Whenever they play away, it's a genuine disadvantage, especially for teams like West Coast, who they're your classic great at home, not so great away. I mean, if you consider the fact that they got to travel, 5 hours.
Perth is the longest travelling city in Australia.
And also, I mean, it's so far away. There's, I think, a 3 or 4 hour time difference. So 3 hour time difference. So even that has an impact, because when they play over there, it's like 3 in the afternoon or something like that every time, and then they just don't play in the evening unless they're in in Melbourne or Sydney or Brisbane or any other part of Australia that isn't in the far, far west.
They do play in the evening, but they start their games during daylight hours, so it's like a twilight sort of game. It starts during the day and then finishes at night. It's not actually a pure night game.
And in the end, the point is the conditions are very, very different in WA. The last thing to add into the cocktail of these fixtures is you've got buys. Now,
they're usually spread over 3 rounds, so there's 6 teams who've got a bye in one of those rounds, so it's not actually spread evenly as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes a team that comes off a bye is playing a team who's played last week.
Yeah.
And we're not actually sure if that's an advantage or a disadvantage.
Sometimes it's an advantage, sometimes it's a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Footy is really a sport where sometimes have that match fitness is just that much more important than having a rest.
The minute things that don't seem like a big deal in, say, European football are a massive deal in AFL because the teams are so evenly spread, the talent's so evenly spread that little things can make a big difference in terms of winning and losing games.
And not to mention the way the game's played. I mean, so much of it is based on fitness and momentum. And
confidence is a massive thing as well.
Yeah, it's massive. We don't know why exactly. And also, the way the game is played, it's just so fast-paced that things can change at any moment. And just these 1% of things can make a huge difference. You've got teams that will blow you out of the water, right? But even the bad teams, if they've got a sniff in the last quarter, different ball game. All right. Yeah. If you're 30-40 points up in the last quarter, then you generally you should be they'll generally go on to win that game and probably pile on a bit more to the score. But let's say you're within 20 points, 15 points, then suddenly the other team is...
It's only 4 goals.
Yeah. And
that's all it is.
Especially the teams that are particularly weak, that they need to get a win from wherever the heck they can. So if they get to a situation where they've got a chance for a win, even if they're playing away from home, doesn't really matter. They're going to go for it, or they're going to send all their energy on it. And well, you can only spend your energy so much if you're fighting for every game. So
that's true. So that's how it works.
So these buys that are played mid-season generally, in groups of 6. And this season we had a very unique situation where we had 2 teams that played overseas. They played in China, so they got to buy separately from everybody else. But either way, everyone gets their buy just to break up the season a little bit, rejuvenate the players, just to get them for the...
Well, the players need it. They want the buy. The players need the buy, so that's why it's there. It's a demanding sport, this one.
And as of last season, they've now implemented buys before finals because there was a problem where teams would always... If they made finals, they'd field half their squad or just complete youngsters and essentially...
They wanted a break before finals so they could be at full strength going into the finals.
They want everyone to go 100% because...
Or to cover for any sort of niggling injuries that players may be playing with. That's why it's there.
So just to sum that all up, the difficulty obviously of the opposition, which is going to vary. It's not consistent. Like every season, last 2 seasons, we've had the reigning, the minor premiers or the team that finished top of the table lose their first 6 games. So
that's how much it can swing.
So the difficulty is not guaranteed.
Yeah, you've got the home and away factor as well.
That's right.
Especially with teams that are playing at roughly the same level.
And on neutral ground.
You could argue that it kind of evens out, as in the Victorian teams don't have a home advantage against other Victorian teams, they don't have an away advantage either.
Yeah.
And the interstate teams who come to Victoria, it's always away, but then they get a home advantage.
Yeah, but it's all the luck. It's the luck of the draw.
It is.
It's the luck of the draw. So we've got the difficulty of the opposition. We've got the home and away advantages and lack of advantages with the neutral grounds, and then we've got the buys. So all these things make the fixtures really often decide where teams finish and can decide who wins the minor premiership and who makes finals, more importantly.
Yeah. Another thing too is like a good team may have a slow start to the year, like Sydney this year, and then if you get them at that time, you'll get a win. And then when they start coming good again, their players come back from injury, all of a sudden it's not that easy win, and all of a sudden it can really throw up different results.
What's the order that you play the teams in? I mean, the fixture list is just a cocktail of unpredictability, and it has Okay, in other sports it has an impact, but here we would argue that it has
It's a bigger impact.
Yeah, a bigger impact,
But-
and it's really the luck of the draw.
And to be fair, it's what the AFL are going for, unpredictability.
Yeah,
That's what it's about.
it's like horse racing. They don't want anyone to get like too far ahead. They've got to make it all even. So with fixtures summed up there, we're just going to take a quick look at what happened this week.
It was a good round.
Yeah, just the interesting
It was
parts.
a very good round.
We'll look at the close games and the upsets. The first close game was Geelong, almost upset by Fremantle. In the end,
Well, yeah,
just getting over the line.
they were 34 points down at one stage, the Cats, and they got over the line.
And they really could have lost it in the last kick, but Freo didn't quite take advantage.
He was under pressure. It was a snapshot of goal he missed, and Geelong won the game. And then in the other game, the Western Bulldogs taking on North Melbourne,
and also getting over the line. Yeah, it's 1 point.
It was a 1 point difference,
and also there could have been.
North were coming.
Yeah, North could have won it at the end as well. So.
North were about 4 goals down, same sort of thing. They were coming back, but they didn't get the result.
And another 1 point game, Sydney against Essendon.
Yep.
Very close game. Again,
Essendon just pulled the Richmond in and completely
snatched.
Well, they snatched
defeat from the jaws of victory.
That's the saying.
That's it.
But the other saying is they did a Richmond, and that made me quite happy.
And of course, we had 2 upsets. Of course, the closer one being Melbourne winning at West Coast. That
was again
strange.
With the last kick of the game, they won by 3 points, which is just as good as a 1 point win, really.
Especially with West Coast being so strong at home, and Melbourne
aren't winning games.
Well, they don't travel much, so you can't really say they're bad travellers because they just don't travel.
Well, Melbourne are winning games that they're not meant to win.
Yeah,
I mean they beat West Coast over there. They beat Adelaide.
Yeah,
in Adelaide as well. So they're much improved.
Yeah, they're in the top 5 now. So they've had arguably an easy fixture list, but they've done the job.
The improvements definitely there. Just in terms of
they're one of the highest scoring teams so far in the league. So congrats to them. And of course, congratulations also to Hawthorn, who coming back from nothing really. Like Hawthorn,
that came from nowhere really. I mean, Hawthorn were playing.
I wouldn't say nowhere. Adelaide's been.
Look, Adelaide have been not as good as how they started. But they were at home, and Hawthorn had been playing quite badly. Yeah,
I mean, this is all relative, okay? When I say it wasn't out of the blue, I mean it definitely wasn't as out of the blue as when Adelaide lost to North Melbourne. That was out of the blue.
That was really
out of the blue. What was it?
Not so much
70-0 before
they kicked the first 10 goals of the game.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
And Adelaide hadn't scored a goal in the whole first quarter. This was, by the way, the highest scoring team at that point of the season. They had been scoring for fun. And North kept them put goalless in the first quarter.
Pointless.
Was it pointless?
They didn't score a single point until halfway through the second quarter, I think.
My point has been strengthened.
Pun intended.
And it's just a shocking sort of first half really for the Crows, and that's how unpredictable football is.
Yeah, but now they beat Hawthorn earlier in the season on the road. Now they've lost at home. It's just this season's been particularly topsy-turvy, and we don't know what's going next, but we're looking forward to it. I'm sure it'll be great.
It'll be like when we don't know what's going to happen.
I mean, North's not going to make finals.
If you're not tipping, it's good, because then you can just watch and sort of enjoy what may or may not happen.
And if you're not emotionally invested in a team, that helps as well.
It does. It does, yeah. It's hard not to be emotionally invested, but you know.
But anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Hope there was you learned something about AFL fixtures today.
Yeah, well, that's just our way of doing things, isn't it? And we're happy apparently. So.
But once again, if you want to see more of the stuff, subscribe, like the videos, comment down below. Anything you want us to talk about, we'll probably talk about. Umpires might be next on the list. We don't know.
Not so much umpires, more the rules.
The rules.
How the umpires are in such a tough position, and the players. Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Right, during the week, we might have some selfie videos. Who knows? But until then, we'll see you next time.
See you then.